Hi and welcome to Bitches of Horror. My name is Jasmine and these are my top films of 2018. We're going to start off with my top 5 short films. Number 5, Freelancer, directed by Francisco Lacerda and Francisco Afonso Lopez. Freelancer was just insane. It had, everything disgusting about it. It had vomit and creatures, and it had, blood and gore and just like weird fetish stuff, and it was just an insane, fun short film. It's just about a freelancer who films stuff, and he gets to film the ceremony, and it just turns batshit insane. It's fantastic. If you love your underground stuff, you really need to watch it. Number 4 is BFF Girls, directed by Brian Lanana and written by Victoria Cook. So BFF Girls is like a homage to the 90s magical girl anime genre, with a mix of horror and comedy. And it actually works very well. It's very over the top, very exaggerated, but it's also super fun. And it was really nice to see this kind of mix in a film. Very different from other films. So yeah, I was really happy I got to see it, and if you have the chance, check it out. It's just so much fun. It just takes the piss out of everything. I love it. Number 3, Hairwolf, directed by Mariama Diallo. I want to start off by saying thank you to Stockholm Film Festival for letting us watch this film. And what a movie it was. The cinematography was fantastic. The acting was great. The setting was great. The story was great. Everything was great. And if you don't know, this film is about 2 white girls who try to suck the blackness out of black people, and it's set at a black hairdresser, hair salon. And it's just so good. And even though it's funny and, very witty, but it's also, pretty serious because of its social commentary, and I think that's the mix that what makes it so good. Moving on to number 2, Lunch Ladies by J.M. Logan and written by Clarissa Jacobson. So Lunch Ladies is fantastic. It's so much fun. It's about 2 lunch ladies who get the chance to meet up with their idol, Johnny Depp, and so they win this chance, but they didn't get the flight ticket there, so they have to keep their work as lunch ladies in order to buy tickets to meet Johnny Depp. And, it's hard work being a lunch lady. There's different problems you can, you come across while being a lunch lady. So, yeah, stuff happens, and they try to, get past it. But it's just hilarious, and the chemistry between the 2 women are just fantastic. Just amazing. And I think it's actually on Amazon Prime right now, so if it is, I'll post the link, or at least it's on Amazon. And, yeah. And number 1 is, of course, Bloody Fairy Tales. Now, this film was just absolutely fantastic. It's fully animated, and it's a take on on different fairy tales, but more of an adult way. And it's just fantastic. The animation, the fun of it, the music, it's just so good. It's animated and directed by Teresa Kovandova, and if you just ever have the chance to watch this, it's just so much fun, and I really hope that they get a chance to make a feature film about it, because it's just hilarious. I love it. Alright, before we go to my top 10 feature films, we're going to do my top 3 disappointments of 2018. Number 3, The Nun. The Nun was, I didn't really expect much, but I did hear people that said that it was okay and that the story was okay. And after watching, I was like, how can you even say that? This movie is just utter crap. There's nothing... There's one thing good about the film, and that is the music. Everything else is shit. Not scary. They had this comic relief guy who was just out of place, and it was just terrible. Boring and terrible. Moving on to number 2 was American Guinea Pig, Song of Solomon. Now, this film was so hyped, especially in the underground community and in the Unearthed Films forums, to be one of the best films of 2018, so of course I was looking forward to it, and I do love Unearthed, so, I was hoping a lot for it. But after watching it, I kind of felt that it was a bit overrated, and while I do like Jessica Cameron's work in other films, I think that her performance in this was a little bit disappointing. I think that the voice was very monotone, and it made her character just become just a little bit boring, in my opinion, and they kind of reused the same special effects, even though the special effects were, of course, amazing. I mean, you don't expect anything less from Stephen Biro, but I think they reused some things, and they just drew out a lot of things that I thought that they could have just made shorter and better. A lot of just jumping in characters, and I just expected more from it. It's not terrible. It's not like None. It's not a shit film, but I just didn't think it was as good as I had hoped for, and that made me a little bit disappointed. But yeah, it's good for the gore at least. And my number one disappointment might surprise a lot of people, but it was Mandy. Mandy was also one of those very overhyped films, best films of 2018. Whoa! And it was absolutely stunning. It was visually just eye candy, and the music was amazing. Especially if you like your droney music, yeah, it's just fantastic. Rest in peace, because he passed away. But I think that this film was just, I wouldn't, people were saying it was too long, but it was a bit long, but that didn't bother me. But the fact that bothered me was that they introduced some of the things like the super drug, and then they didn't really utilize it in the rest of the story. It felt like it was supposed to have like this significant meaning, and then it just just left it, and it's like, well, if that drug makes you that, then why, I don't know. It just felt like yeah, I don't know. And then after that, all these scenes were so anticlimactic. It was like, okay, he's gonna go in for the kill. Yes, do it. Just went, meh, okay. And it's like, well, what happened? I just wanted the payoff. There's no payoff in the film. And it's a shame, because everybody, I think the acting is amazing, and Nicolas Cage is great in it, but it just fell flat for me, unfortunately. Yes, so those are my top 3 disappointments of 2018. Now we're going to move on to my top 10. And, not disappointments, but my top 10 favorite films of 2018. So let's move to number 10, which was The Clove Hitch Killer. This one I haven't seen on many top 10 lists, but I thought this was kind of special and different to, especially the rest of 2018. It's following the sort of serial killer fad that's going on at the moment. It has it's sort of like not a documentary, but it's just, sort of feels like a true story, but it's not. And I just think the acting is really good, and it's creepy. It's still very slow, and not much happens, but it still has that feeling to it. It just makes it so interesting to keep watching, and you kind of want to know what's going to happen. Is he this? Is he that? Is, what's going on? And I really like that about the film, and it really surprised me. I thought it was really good. And sorry, it's directed by Duncan Skiles. Yes, so let's move on to number 9. Strangers Pray at Night by Johannes Roberts. I was surprised by this film because I didn't like the first one very much, but I thought the second one was so much fun. It had everything that that lacked in the first one. It was, straightforward. It had the action, it had the music, it had the visual, cinematography. It was really, really nice looking, and it had the acting, and it was just a very fun film that you can rewatch many times. I just thought that the ending went on for a little bit too long. They could have cut it there. But yeah, it was a really good film. Number 8, More Blood by Heidi Moore. And More Blood is a documentary about why fans love gore and horror, and what they think or why they like, nasty things. And I was a part of it, so, my opinion might be a bit, maybe not relevant, but I'm trying to, I watched it without thinking about that, but I think it's very interesting to listen to people, why they like things, especially these kind of weird things, and why they like them. It's not like a pure factual psychological thing, but more of your own thoughts of why you like it and why you think other people like it, and I think that was very interesting. And it's just a great documentary with all the thoughts and all the nostalgia and, you know, kind of like relating to everyone. And I think that's the beauty of the film, is that you, as a horror fan, you can relate to well, all the people in the film. Number 7, Who's Watching Oliver? By Richie Moore. And this film was a sweet indie gem from 2018. Great acting by Russell Jeffrey Banks. He also wrote it, and it's just so awkward and funny and just lovely. It's just such a lovely film. I can't explain it, but it's sort of like cozy in a way, even though it's like it has it has some gore in it. It has, you know, these weird awkward things going on, and it's just very different from what I'm used to in horror film, I think. Maybe not. I don't know. It's just different, and I think I like that about it. And Russell Jeffrey Banks just plays a perfect Oliver. He's just spot on. It's so good. And moving on to number 6, Suspiria, another controversial film in 2018. Either you loved it or you hated it. It's by Luca Guadagnino, and the remake. I myself am not a huge fan of the original. I think it's good, but I don't think it's one of the best movies ever, as a lot of people usually like to say. But I did like the remake. It was a little bit too long. I agree with a lot of people on that, and I didn't think that the music was good. Tom York was a terrible choice of composer for this film. But I did like how they utilized dance as ritual and spells, and I loved the gray tone and the creepiness, and of course the ending was great, and Tilda Swinton was fantastic, as always. Yeah, I liked it. It's a bit slow, but I did enjoy it a lot more than I thought I would. And number 5, we've got Terrifier by Damien Leone, and another sweet gem from 2018. Very gory. Has one of the best, in my opinion, serial killers of all times. Art the Clown. He's just freaking terrifying. His face is just so scary, and I love it. Played by the great David Howard Thornton, and yeah, he just does a great job. He has a background in mime, so, you know, he's very good at his facial expressions, and I think that's what makes Art so great. His just facial expressions are amazing, and he played the role perfectly, and I really hope to see more from him in the future. Maybe not only in horror, but in film in general. I think he really deserves it. And since Damien Leone is the director of it, he has his background in SFX. The SFX are just, it's just so good. Just the scene, of course, but everything else as well. And this sort of like hint that there's going to be a story, but oh wait, there's not. It's just blood, gore, and nasty and fun. And I think this is a great aspect of this film, is that it doesn't have to have story to be fun. It was just fantastic being what it was. Yes, so my number 4 is Puppet Master by Sonny Laguna and Tommy Wiklund. And Puppet Master the Little Reich, I'm not a huge fan of the previous films. I've only seen a few, but they're not too good. But this is the best one, in my opinion. Another film that's just fantastically fun. Has great acting in it, and it looks great. The gore is fun. The characters are fun. There's so many side characters, but still they're all relevant, and you remember them. And I think this is something that they did very well in this film, because otherwise the people who get killed, you're just like, I don't remember that person. But in this, I think everyone had their own little personality, and I really like that touch to the film. And of course, the puppets were great. Barbara Crampton was great. Thomas Lennon was great. It was just a fantastic, fun film. I just can't imagine how fun a drinking game would be to this film. It needs to be done. Yeah, my voice. Moving on to my top 3. Number 3 is Hereditary. This was another film that I think was quite talked about, being very good or very bad. People had different opinions of it. It's directed by Ari Aster, and it stars the amazing Toni Collette. And the thing for the film, I showed this to my boyfriend and one of my best friends. I was like, you gotta see this film, it's so good. And they just laughed at it. They thought it was shit. And I just couldn't believe it, because this film just hit me really hard emotionally. And it's not the occult that's scary or creepy. I think it's the family drama in it that makes this film so just disturbing. Just the discussions that they have at the table, and they're fighting, and the things that they say, it's just, it hits hard. I think it may be because maybe I'm really close to my family, and if they said anything to that, I would just freak out. But just I think the acting in it is very well, and I think the boy, I can't remember his name, but the guy who plays the son, he gets a lot of hate for some reason. I don't understand why people hated him so much. I think that he did an amazing job, and even though he had maybe one face, I think it fit his character, and I think he did great. He looked terrified. He looked like he was in pain, and I liked that. I thought he was great. I like the twists and turns, and this is one film as an example of how you should fucking make trailers. No spoilers, man. And they'd made the trailer perfect, without spoiling anything. It was great. Yes, and my number 2 is Incident in a Ghostland by Pascal Laugier, who also did Martyrs. Now, this was another film that I saw pretty late in 2018. Everyone had already seen it, and they were like, oh yeah, it's pretty good. And I watched it not knowing anything about it, just the cover, basically. And I was so surprised at how well done this film was. The plot, how they went through everything, how the film unfolded, I thought was just absolutely amazing. The acting was really good, and just, it was so tense, this film, and I love a good tense film. I want to sit at the edge of my chair and be like, fuck, what's gonna happen? And that's what I felt in this film. It's just really good. Solid film, in my opinion. And my number 1 film for 2018 is Trauma. Of course, Trauma by Lucio Arojas, and this is just fantastic. It's a brutal film, and it's disgusting, and it's great. It's so disturbing. It just went, I'm not gonna say it went where other films won't go, because they have gone there, but they just did it so much better. They did it so much better, and this is a film that truly shows that sometimes not showing everything, just showing everything doesn't make it scarier or more disturbing. Sometimes you don't have to show it to make it disturbing, and I think that they did this very well here. Of course, they showed a lot of stuff as well, which also was very disturbing. I think that the girls had a great chemistry with each other, and they played their parts so well, it just felt a little bit too real, and this is not something that you want to feel real, so yeah, it hit like really close. Like, I wasn't expecting that much. I mean, he did direct Sendero before, and I really like Sendero, but it had its flaws in there, and just being hit by Trauma that hard, it just made me fall in love with it. It was just so disturbing and disgusting and harsh and brutal, and yeah, just amazing. And if you haven't watched Trauma and you like your underground films, brutal, and yeah, you have to watch it. It's just so good. It's definitely the best film, without a doubt, of 2018. No competition. It's just the best. Get your hands on it. I think it's Artsploitation who distributed it, and it's amazing. Buy it, stat. Great Blu-ray goodness. And yes, that was it for my 2018 films. It was a great year, and even though there were some ups and downs in both films and our show, of course, but I think it was just fantastic. We got to do Monsters of Film, we got to do a little bit for Stockholm Film Festival, and we've got to watch a lot of great films that people have sent in to us, and I'm so happy for that opportunity, and I hope that 2019 has much more in store for us. We're going to change it up a little bit on Bitches of Horror, and we hope you like it. If not, let us know so we can change it back or change it to something else and better. Thank you so much for this year, and we hope for an even better year for 2019. Stay horrific.